How can a defeated king, killed by his own people, become a nation's eternal hero? This is the paradox of Olaf II of Norway. In the year 1030, at a place called Stiklestad, a battle was fought that should have ended a king's legacy. Instead, his death gave birth to a legend, a saint, and ultimately, a unified nation. This isn't just a story of a battle, it's the story of how a brutal Viking raider became a symbol of faith and unity, forever shaping the destiny of Norway. His defeat was his greatest victory, and it all began in a land torn between old gods and a new faith. In the early 11th century, Norway was not a single, unified kingdom as we know it today. It was a rugged, fragmented land of deep fjords and dense forests, ruled by powerful local chieftains. These were proud, independent leaders who commanded fierce loyalty from their clans. They governed their own territories, collected their own taxes, and answered to no one but themselves. The idea of a single, central king was a foreign concept, and one they resisted fiercely. At the same time, a powerful spiritual conflict was brewing. For centuries, the people had worshipped the Old Norse gods, Odin, Thor, Freya. These were deities of war, thunder, and fertility, deeply woven into the fabric of daily life and culture. But from the south, a new religion was spreading across Europe: Christianity. It arrived with merchants, missionaries, and returning raiders. This new faith, with its single, all-powerful God, offered a different vision for society, one of centralized authority under one king and one church. This clash of faith and power set the stage for one of the most dramatic transformations in Scandinavian history. Into this turbulent world stepped Olaf Haraldsson. Born into a line of minor Norwegian kings, his early life was that of a classic Viking. As a teenager, he led raids across the Baltic, France, and England. He was a hardened warrior, skilled in combat and strategy, driven by ambition and a thirst for power. But during his travels, Olaf encountered Christianity and was eventually baptized in Normandy. This experience changed him profoundly. He returned to Norway not just as a claimant to the throne, but as a missionary on a divine quest. In 1015, he declared himself King of Norway. His goal was twofold: to unite the fractured country under his sole rule and to convert it entirely to Christianity. Olaf was not a gentle missionary. He traveled the country with his army, forcing chieftains to submit and accept baptism. He destroyed pagan temples, outlawed sacrifices to the old gods, and implemented strict church laws. While his vision was a unified Christian Norway, his methods were harsh and unforgiving. He took power from the local lords, seized their lands, and punished any who defied him with brutal force. He was creating a kingdom, but he was also making powerful enemies. Olaf's heavy-handed rule quickly turned the tide against him. The chieftains, who had once held absolute power in their regions, saw their authority and wealth stripped away. They resented his centralized control and his relentless religious pressure. Men like Thor Hund, a powerful northern leader whose family had suffered directly at Olaf's hands, began to organize a rebellion. They saw Olaf not as a unifying king, but as a tyrant who trampled on their ancient traditions and freedoms. They found a powerful ally in King Knut the Great, ruler of Denmark and England, who also had ambitions to control Norway. In 1028, facing a massive rebellion backed by Knut, Olaf was forced to flee into exile. But he would not give up his kingdom. 2 years later, in the summer of 1030, Olaf returned to Norway with a small army, determined to reclaim his throne. The rebels, led by Thor Hund and other disgruntled chieftains, gathered a massive force to meet him. The two armies clashed at Stiklestad on July 29th outnumbered. Olaf fought bravely at the heart of the battle, but he was eventually struck down and killed. To his enemies, it was a final, decisive victory. They had rid themselves of the tyrant king. But Olaf's story did not end with his death at Stiklestad. In fact, it had just begun. Almost immediately, strange stories began to circulate. It was said that a blind man regained his sight after touching his hands with the king's blood. The king's body, buried hastily near the battlefield, was later exhumed and found to be miraculously preserved, with his hair and nails still growing. The very people who had rejected him in life began to see him as a holy martyr. The church, recognizing a powerful opportunity, quickly moved to canonize him. Just a year after his death, Olaf was declared a saint. His body was moved to a small church in Nidaros, which we now know as Trondheim. This site became a major pilgrimage destination, drawing faithful from all over Northern Europe. The cult of Saint Olaf grew into a powerful political tool. Future kings and the church used his legend to legitimize their own authority. The warrior king who failed to unite Norway by force had, in death, become the symbol of that very unity. His defeat was transformed into a sacrifice, his harsh rule forgotten, and his legacy cemented as the eternal king, the patron saint who forged a nation from beyond the grave. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, please like, subscribe, and follow for more stories that shaped our world.